Hello and welcome to my video about the A8 ANET 3D printer. This is a printer I picked up for under £200, delivered to the UK with 2 filaments. Couple of concerns, obviously the cheapness means what sort of quality control have we got, and it's made from acrylic, which has its problems, shall we say. Anyway, this is my first ever 3D printer, so let's get cracking and see how I do at assembling this cheap Chinese printer. Now, as you can see, you get a nice box that should keep most things pretty secure, including this rather naff cable. More of that later. And some electronics, a simple set of instructions, load of little bits and pieces, including what looks like MDF but is actually not, a USB stick adapter for the SD card, which is got most of the stuff on, so that's good. And a load of cables has been waving away up there, but yeah, this little box is what makes it all happen. And yes, a load of other bits scattered over on the other side here, including the metal bars, which are pretty important, and a power supply in this mystery box. Stepper motors looking quite nice, nicely labelled as well, so assembly should be easy. Now this bit here, this is going to be the bit that makes it tricky to assemble the kit, because whilst it would be quite simple, as you can see it's got those weird T-nuts, attachments which are quite fiddly, and they're definitely going to be an issue for assembling the unit. So USB stick has a load of instructions on, which are definitely worth checking out. But you've also got some assembly videos, which I actually used to assemble the kit, but they're not the best way of doing it, to be honest. And there are potentially some very useful bits on the Facebook page and in the assembly instructions for some of the trickier bits I came across when assembling. Now, this is going to take a while to sort out. Right, that PSU. Notice a load of screws missing from the correct locations that I'm indicating here. Does make me worry about the fact that you were rattling around inside the case, and this unit being a safety feature, if that's damaged, obviously I'm very concerned as to what could happen, including the rumours of exploding and killing, 12-year-olds I think it is. Anyway, yeah, that will be an issue a bit later on. Some tools come supplied with the kit. In fact, everything you need to supply the kit is pretty much included in the box, so it's really good from that point of view, including these weird little balloon rubbery things, which I still haven't worked out what they are. I probably need to reread any instruction manuals that are on that little USB adapter. Anyway, as you can see, I've made a good start at assembling my printer here, and located a load of M3 screws, and I'll be showing you some nuts very shortly. There they are. And yeah, there's quite a few of those. You get a couple of extras, which is good, because I had about 3 damaged. And as you can see, with the T-nut, the bolt comes in from the top and locks into the nut in the horizontal slot, and it's got to grip the acrylic, which is not easy, and I'm about to demonstrate how fiddly it is. So as you can see, this is where you need to get your bolt into. Comes in via the little wiggly finger in the bottom left hand corner there, and you've got to try and squeeze a nut into that little slot, which with my fat fingers is not the best option, shall we say. Using some pliers was a possibility, and in some spots that works really well, in others not so good, and as I'm hopefully about to demonstrate, yeah, it's not easy, is it? It is possible to put them in before you assemble the pieces, but the problem is when you click the pieces together, it can often knock the nut out. Obviously, I was able to work around it. I am actually re-recording the audio. Now here is a big problem. Notice hole number 1, hole number 2, hole number 3. Yeah, hole number 2 should also be over here, hole number 4. So assembling this piece is not really going to be possible. So I can fit the smooth bars, they go in the top 2 holes, but the threaded bolted piece is not going to go here because there's no hole. So I am going to try and drill a hole in to get around this, and I'm guess I'm going to have to put a claim in to try and get a replacement piece, because I don't really have an ideal solution for dealing with this. Without this piece, can't actually assemble the printer properly. So yeah, major concern. There is some 3D options I think you can print out to replace the end plate, but obviously you need the printer to be assembled to do that. As you can see, there are little cutouts that have popped out. How quality control missed a missing hole there. Well, yeah, China sometimes gets accused of having no quality control on the cheaper parts. As you can see, here is my bodged assembly. I basically managed to drill a hole. It did snap off the top lug, but I've been able to get a printer to work by gripping on, but it's not ideal. Not ideal at all, in fact, so a bit concerned about this piece here. So yeah, if that breaks free, it could be bad. Anyway, next job, get the motors in, get the threaded bolts in, get the LCD screen in, but as you can see, printer goes together pretty well. And here's a still shot of that damaged piece, which I'm going to use for my claim. Now, when it comes to assembling this bit, as you can see, I've popped in the little bolt for putting your threaded plastic piece in. Brain has stopped working as to what that's called, and it does appear from the photos in the YouTube video that it goes forward down and has two nuts. That is actually in error. I'm going to throw up a screenshot of where it should be, which is in the PDF. But yeah, it's not very clear how you're meant to assemble this from the videos. This is how you're meant to assemble it, and that's how I've got it now. And obviously it's very important that you get all your bits and pieces in place. Now, as you can see here, I've just demonstrated how you can easily get to the various bits and pieces to tighten everything up, and it's a nice little design feature. But yeah, this set of bolts here are not really quite in the right place to assemble it properly, so I will be moving that a bit later on to get my printer working correctly. And I have to say, despite some little issues around assembly, it did go together pretty easily. Believe it's 7 hours in total from opening the box to ready to print. Obviously there was quite a bit of fiddling, and I guess I've been fiddling with it since printing to try and get the best quality and minimize jams. And I did have a bit of excitement with my heater block sensor dropping out, so it just kept heating and heating and heating and started pouring smoke everywhere. Luckily I was able to turn everything off, open the windows and sort it out. Now, with regard to the belt, I'm not sure about the tension. It's quite strummy, but actually still quite flexible, and I'm not sure if I've cut its wrong length. So, you know, if I need to, I could, I guess, move this belt up to the other axis, which might help. And my big concern is, you know, getting hold of replacement belts to, you know, deal with stretched plastic or stuff that I've cut to the wrong length. But seems to be working pretty well on the assembled unit. And I'm going to cut now to an issue I had. Remember that European power plug with the adapter? Well, when I plugged it in, this unit I thought was dead because of the missing screws. A very loud bang happened when I plugged it in, but I was suspicious of this cable, and I was thinking, well, getting this replaced is going to be an absolute nightmare. I maybe should test the cable, because I don't know, I just had a sneaky suspicion it wasn't working. So a power plug was sacrificed, and as you can see, it's all hooked up, ready to go. This is quite late at night now. This is probably about 10 hours after I started trying to assemble it. I just decided, well, let's give it a go. If it's dead, it's dead, and you know, I might have killed the motherboard already. And whoopee, it actually powered up, and as you can see, started printing. Now it's actually printing, I believe, a 10mm cube at the moment, but I did have a problem with the height adjustment, and as you can see, a bit later on did some more printing. I think this is a set of tentacles off a Kickstarter I've backed, just checking out how good the print resolution is. I've basically got an LED torch illuminating it to try and get some light. So when you see all these people plugging in lights, it's quite useful. And what's this? Oh yes, this is a Bayam, I believe it's called. Anyway, the giant friendly robot from the animated film, and I printed off a load of them at like 6mm big just to check the printer was working, and I finally on this one actually went to about half size of the actual model. Printed out pretty good. You get the 3 little fingers on the wavy hand, and I'm not sure if this is before I attached a cable adapter, and this is me printing out the replacement fan unit, which is a little bit long, so I had to actually adjust my heater to basically not have the fan dragging on parts all the time. It's still not 100% perfect. I might need to adjust it. As you see a bit later on, starting to take shape quite nicely, and a little bit of tape, and you can just about see in the top of the picture here the kind of strain relief that I fitted to avoid any problems, because you know, it's going to help minimize cables getting damaged, or more worryingly heater block issues with thermostats or the actual heating element dropping out in the middle of a print, which would be potentially a big fire and not at all good, and plus the smoke is probably not very good for you either. I've actually run out of the masking tape, so I've got thin strips, and as you can see here, this is almost done. It took quite a while to print this unit off. Ideally it would have stopped at this point, because it actually keeps going, add in some extra stuff, which is what makes it a bit longer. It needs to be about 2mm shorter by the looks of it, after I adjusted the heated end a bit to have a little bit of distance from the fan to where the kind of print bed is illuminated up to. Anyway, more tentacles and a giant worm with my new adapter fitted, and yeah, it has made a bit of a difference. So overall, I'm reasonably impressed with this printer. It's not perfect, but it's not bad, and you can probably expect some more videos from me regarding my printing obsession.